Are you building an AI-powered no-code app using OpenAI or Claude? Well, here's why I think it's time to seriously consider using Gemini, part of Google AI. The main reason being the size and scale of the context window you get with Gemini. Just look at how much additional data you can pass into Gemini. And if you have been keeping up with AI news, you will be familiar with Notebook LM. It's sort of an experimental product by Google, but it allows you to add up to 50 different sources, PDFs, large text files, and all of them can be part of your interaction with the AI. Well, given that as a developer you can access Gemini's 1 million token context window, you can begin to build an app just like that yourself. Once you've signed into the Google AI Studio, you'll notice that this looks really familiar. Whether you're using OpenAI or Claude, it's a similar familiar playground. And we can begin by just sending a message. So we can say, like, write a haiku about no code. And we can run it, and we get back our haiku. And we can even say get code, and we can get the JSON that we need to add into our Bubble app. Here's how you do it. But before I go into that, if you're building an app with Bubble and you really want to accelerate that process and get access to a huge library of learning resources, even more than you can find on our YouTube channel, then click the link down in the description and head over to planetnocode.com to access that library. But we need to take this and we need to pass it into our API connector. One key difference here to notice is that you put the API key in the URL. So when you set up your API connector, here's how you go about it. You would you go into the API connector, let's add a new API, I've called it Google Gemini. And instead of saying private key in header, which is how you would use it with Claude or with OpenAI, we say private key in URL. And then make sure you update the key name to key. I think Bubble defaults it to private key. How do we know that it's key? Well, because it says key just here. And then you put in your API key. And then most of this is the same. Basically, you would copy everything from this quote mark here all the way down to here. So I'm copying that. Here's one I made earlier, but let me show you how I got there. Pasting it in, and then we just need to strip out the bits that we actually want to use. So we are wanting to send our user message here. We get a response back. We don't want that response. This is part of the conversation we have in the playground. So actually, it's more helpful if I delete this and now say get code. And now get everything that is in content all the way down. Okay, because there's this other valuable data down here to do with the model and the parameters that go into it. So let's replace all that instead. And then we don't need this bit here. I'm not sure why it's adding that in. So I'm deleting the comma and I'm deleting everything in this expression. There we go. And then to get this ready to use in a workflow. And if you get stuck with this, if you get stuck with anything in Bubble, particularly with the Bubble API connector, you can book a one-to-one call with me. The link for Bubble coaching is down in the description, but we can simply say something like message. That way we're making it dynamic. If we uncheck private, now this can appear as an action. Remember, we've got it set as action. Can appear as an action in a workflow. And so I can put my original prompt in here. I can say write a haiku about no code. Notice that I've put the speech marks back in. That's because if I was going to be adding this into a workflow, I'd be adding it in as arbitrary text, JSON safe. Again, if you're not familiar with that, go and check out any of our other videos about AI and working with Bubble because we cover it in more detail there. But now I can click connect, initiate the call, and I get back a response. And here is my haiku. Very, very similar to any other AI API that we've used in the past, but that's how you can set it up with Gemini. Now there's one amazing feature that Google have just released, and I think it's Google's response to the OpenAI search, and that is grounding. And grounding is what Google, it's not going out to your garden in the morning without any shoes on, is Google's term for bringing Google search into the Gemini AI as a tool, and I'm going to be covering that in a future video, so make sure that you like and subscribe to get that one.